Hi, I'm John Cartmail, and I'm the designer and creator of RemedyNotes. And what I want to do in this short video, which should last about 10 minutes, is just to give you a sense of the underlying design of RemedyNotes so that you will understand what it is that's going on when you record information in RemedyNotes. RemedyNotes is a database, it's a relational database, which means that it contains a number of files which are linked to each other in a kind of logical way, which may be simple or it may be quite complex. So what I'll do now is just kind of start to introduce us to a diagram that sets out how RemedyNotes works. Okay, so to begin with, what we've got is a remedy file, and that contains information about each of the remedies that we're going to be interested in within RemedyNotes. And the information that links to a remedy is fairly small. I mean, all the interesting stuff is going to be sitting somewhere in the notes file. And for the remedy itself, there isn't so much information in actual fact. We may well have information like a chemical formula for it if it happens to be a mineral. But beyond that, the most important piece of information really is the name. And to begin with, one might imagine that a remedy name was something really quite straightforward. But to begin with, a remedy will probably have an abbreviation, but there is no standard abbreviation for each remedy, so that at different times a remedy may well have been known under one or perhaps very many different abbreviations. So sometimes we'll see Natrum muriaticum listed as nat-m or nat-mur or nat-mur, or the list can go on. It can also have a long name or Latin name, or it may well have more than one of those, so that there's not necessarily any agreement about what the name of a remedy is. And then of course there are the common names. So nat-mur might be table salt, but with some of the other remedies there may well be a number of common names. So that we end up with one remedy but a large number, potentially large number of remedy names. So what we've got in RemedyNotes is a remedy file, and associated with it is a remedy name file. Okay, fine. Now, putting that to one side, the other major file of RemedyNotes is the notes file, obviously. And the notes file, well, homeopaths tend to do a lot of studying, a lot of reading of books, going to seminars, picking up information. And it's really useful when studying to take notes. And the important thing about notes is to be able to access them again later on when they will be useful. So I always say to people about going to a seminar where somebody said, now, very useful tip here, if you have somebody who has fear of buttons, this is the remedy. Well, thankfully I've never had that person come into my consulting rooms, but when they do, I'm going to feel such a fool, because there is no way I'm going to be able to find that written note in its file, wherever that might be. So here the idea is that we're going to use RemedyNotes as a place to put notes so that we can get to them when we need them, and we can link them in various different ways. So the first of those ways is that we may well want to be able to link notes to particular remedies, so that I can go and look at my remedy file and look for nat-mur and see all the notes that I've written that I have indexed to nat-mur. Okay, so that's useful, but many of the notes we write won't be specifically about a particular remedy. They may well be about something quite separate. They might be about how to take a case. They might be about a plant family. They might be about the periodic table of elements. So as well as indexing our notes on remedies, it's useful to be able to index them on category. Okay, now going back to the remedy file, the remedies, when I started training, we were taught remedies as sort of standalone things. So there was Natmur, there was Stramonium, and we learnt about those things as if they were remedies. They had no particular sort of connection to anything else. Nowadays, I think people are much more thinking in terms of remedies as being part of a family, maybe a plant family, or maybe understanding their place on the periodic table of elements. And what we can do with family tree is actually set out that background so that we can say that Natmur has a number of family trees. One of them will be about its place on row 3 excuse me, on row 3 column 1, that would be the sodium part of it, and row 3 column 18, that would be the muriatic part of it. So we could actually set that up as a number of family trees. So a family tree then is actually a way of linking up categories in quite a formal hierarchy, and that then allows us to link through from a particular category, let's say row 3, through to all the remedies that are part of row 3 or that have some association with row 3. Fine. Now, as well as that, it might be useful for us to be able to link up a number of categories in a less hierarchical, less formal way and put them under a particular group. So we might have categories for each of the elements of the periodic table of elements, and then we could have a category group that linked them together. Okay, so we're nearly there. Just one more file here, and this file is the source file, and basically what this gives us is information about where we got the information from in creating the various records that we've produced. And there may well be some sources that we trust more than we trust others, and so it's really helpful for us to be able to identify where this information came from, and on that basis we will either give it a high level of confidence, or we may go, well, this is interesting, but this person isn't always on the ball. So here what I've done is link the source to all of the files except for category, and I've left out category because category is a very simple kind of statement. It is simply a name, and so the source for that is, I think, much less important. So so that's the quick view of what's going on in RemedyNotes. There are other videos that I'm producing that address much more specifically the software itself and how to make use of it, and I suggest that you have a look at those as well. Okay, all the very best to you. Bye bye.